Welcome, folks. Good afternoon. My name is Ian Bushie. I'm the Minister of Natural Resources and Indigenous Futures for the province of Manitoba. I want to start off by saying, on behalf of our Manitoba government, we honor the sacredness and importance of this land and of the ancestors that once walked where we are standing today. We are here today at Union Station in Winnipeg on Treaty 1 territory and the traditional lands of Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, Dene peoples, and the homeland and the Red River Métis Nation. We acknowledge that the nations that preceded the existence of this province have all paved the way to what is now known as Manitoba, home to all treaty people. We share this information with you as a reminder of our treaty histories and the original homelands of these nations, which have become home to all of us here today. It is a great honor to be here today. As a proud Northern MLA, I know from personal experience how important the Port of Churchill is to the people of Northern Manitoba and the important role that Churchill will play in our provincial economy and in the months and the years to come. I'm proud to be here with everyone in attendance today because the work of improving the quality of life for all Manitobans continues. Like everyone gathered here, I am excited for this announcement that will mean a great deal for Churchill, the North, and for all of Manitoba. Here to tell you more today about today's announcement, I would like to call the Premier Wab Kinew.
Great. Well, it's an interesting day. We started at our southern border, and now we're talking about our northern port. All along the way, though, this is part of our Team Canada approach to stand up for Manitoba, to protect your jobs, and to safeguard our economy. We're here as a province of Manitoba to announce the continuation of our partnership with the Arctic Gateway Group in collaboration with the federal government. So I'm very happy to say that our provincial government, on your behalf, is investing a further $36.4 million over the next 2 years into the Port of Churchill. This is a really important investment, and it's something that we've been committed to for many, many years. Even going back to opposition, our team was there actually at the Canadian Transportation Agency fighting to get the rail line back up. And now that we're in government and we're able to partner with AGG and with the community of Churchill, with First Nations across the province, this is a really exciting opportunity. And here's what it means to you, the people of Manitoba. When we talk to our friends south of the border in the United States of America, for us to have this presence in Churchill, to be able to say that we're a great partner when it comes to Arctic security is super, super important. Yet at the same time, looking at what happened yesterday, we need to diversify our export markets. We need to find other countries to sell to. And the Port of Churchill helps us get to the EU, to the European Union. So this is a really smart investment that we're working on alongside the Government of Canada to say that we're reinvesting in that long-standing trade relationship that we have with the United States of America, while at the same time ensuring that we have access to more economic opportunities for your jobs, for your income in the future, by strengthening ties with the EU and even our neighbors to the north in Nunavut. So this is a very, very timely investment that helps to ensure that we're a great partner when it comes to Arctic sovereignty, that we're really strong when it comes to economic reconciliation, and that we're helping to tap into the wealth that is being created in our province by critical minerals. Manitoba has what the world needs. That includes the mining industry, but it also includes the people who bring this great province to life. And when we see people from all walks of life in this province coming together to make the Port of Churchill happen and to ensure that we have access to world markets, that's a really exciting opportunity for everybody. So congrats to the team at AGG, congrats to the folks at Churchill and to our First Nations partners, and we extend that warm and hearty handshake to our federal friends as we make this investment together. Miigwech, merci, thank you very much.
Thank you, Premier, for that fantastic news. Next, I'd like to invite to a microphone the Honourable Terry Duguid, Minister of Sport and Minister responsible for Prairies Economic Development Canada.
Well, thank you, Minister Bushie. Good afternoon, everyone. Premier, it was great to be at the border with you this morning as part of Team Canada, and I think we really showcased that. Emerson's so important to the security, but also the prosperity of our province and our nation. The fifth busiest port in Canada the second busiest port west of the Great Lakes. But wonderful to be here today to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which I've been talking about Mike for probably 35 years. I knew Mike Spence before he was the mayor of Churchill. I know that's almost impossible to imagine, but it was in 1995. I was given a call on Christmas Eve by Lloyd Axworthy's chief of staff, and he asked me, Terry, what do you know about trains? And I said, well, I'm from Transcona. I know a little bit about trains. What do you know about grain? And I said, well, absolutely nothing. And he then said to me, congratulations. You were the new president and CEO of Gateway North Marketing Agency, and you're going to help Lloyd Axworthy save Churchill. Because CN had advertised to rip up the rail lines. Ports Canada was going to decommission the port, and Churchill was going to be no more. And because of amazing leaders like Mike Spence, Corey Young, who I imagine is somewhere around here. I hope he's listening today. But there was a concerted effort over a few years to get the grain volumes up, to get the rail in shape, to dredge the harbor, to invest in infrastructure, and as many of you know, the port and the rail line were transferred to Omnitrax, and that chapter came to a logical end, and we arrived at the solution where we are today, which is a community-based, community-owned consortium that is doing incredible work. And maybe just another little trip down memory lane, if you would allow me. 7 years ago, my friend Jim Carr, and I have MP Ben Carr with me today, his son, I know, who is very proud of his father and the great work he did on behalf of Manitobans for decades, and Dan Vandal, who's going to be saying, the Honorable Dan Vandal, who's going to be saying a few words to us in a moment. But 7 years ago, my friend and colleague Jim Carr and I brought the Manitoba Caucus up to Churchill, and you will recall at the time the rail line was broken, and the people along the line and in Churchill were right to wonder if it would ever be fixed and if their way of life would continue. And we stood together on the pier with you, Mayor Spence, facing out towards Hudson Bay, and we said, our future is north. And I am reminded of that moment today because it kicked off years of hard work, advocacy, determination, and revitalization. And here we are today. Since 2018, the federal government has come to the table with $277 million, and the Manitoba government has come up with millions more. The Hudson Bay Railway and the Port of Churchill were important then, but are even more important now. The railway and port are owned by the people of the North, but as prairie Canadians, all of us will benefit when they succeed because they are national assets that will help us to unlock our true potential now more than ever. The future is north. And folks, and I think the Premier was alluding to this, the world needs stable, reliable suppliers, and no one does this better than the prairies and we in Manitoba. Whether it's our agricultural products, advanced manufacturing, or critical minerals, the prairies have what the world needs, and Manitoba is central to that. And so we have a very major investment to announce today. And on behalf of my colleague, Transport Minister Anita Anand, I am pleased to announce an investment of over $43 million to the Arctic Gateway Group to support annual repairs, maintenance, and operations of the Hudson Bay Railway. And I'm happy to tell you that this investment completes the revitalization of the rail line, and you can show your appreciation. Thank you. This investment through the Remote Passenger Rail Program ensures affordable travel, medical services, and essential goods remain accessible from the PAW to Churchill. It also brings a more prosperous north closer to reality. Another element of the announcement that we're making today is, and the Premier has also referred to this, critical minerals. Manitoba's ambitions for critical minerals, northern development, and economic reconciliation are tied to the Port of Churchill as well. And that brings me to another key part of today's announcement, our commitment to critical mineral development. These minerals are essential for electric vehicles and renewable energy systems. Manitoba, as you know, is rich in these resources, and together we are positioning the province to be a leader in this vital sector, to support economic reconciliation and critical mineral development here in Manitoba. $2.3 million will fund 6 projects through the Manitoba Indigenous Critical Minerals Partnership Initiative. The Manitoba Indigenous Critical Minerals Partnership Initiative was created to support Indigenous communities so that they can benefit from mineral development based on their community plans and priorities. And I'm so pleased to see Chief E.J. Fontaine here. I'm a longtime friend of his and his family's. And the Sagkeeng First Nation is receiving $218,000 to build workforce capacity and training for members supporting the Tanko mine and mineral exploration partnerships. Let's hear it for E.J. The Marcel Kaloum First Nation is also part of today's announcement, receiving $390,000 to deliver a workforce readiness program in support of the Alamos gold mining development. An investment is also being made into the Kissippewa Cree Nation Association, Inc. of $250,000 to support their engagement and exploration growth plan linked to their mineral exploration partnership with T2 Metals. We are providing Birdtail Sioux Dakota Nation $45,000 to support the completion of an impact benefit agreement and a framework for economic development and employment opportunities. Finally, we are also investing $1.5 million through Community Economic Development and Diversification Program on 2 projects, one related to University College of the North and another to Norway House Cree Nation in the way of $350,000. And these 6 projects aim to create over 26 direct jobs plus more employment opportunities after the planned training sessions with almost 300 community members. Folks, let me just conclude by saying that we're building a future here in Manitoba of shared prosperity, security, and sustainability and reconciliation. The Hudson Bay
Almost a century ago. Since then, the Churchill Gateway has served as an important destination for prairie regional trade, whether it be agriculture products or resupplies to communities in Nunavut. Our government is committed to developing northern economic opportunities across the northern region to boost trade, transportation services, and good jobs for northern Manitobans. We're also looking at new trading partners, which will be a boon for the Port of Churchill and the Arctic Gateway Group. The investments we're making in partnership with AGG will grow this capacity and position the port in future years to diversify traffic, develop the homegrown critical minerals supply chain, and position Manitoba and the Prairie region to improve trade ties with overseas markets. Manitoba is very pleased to be participating in this initiative with the Arctic Gateway Group and its owner, One North, which itself is comprised of 29 Indigenous and 12 non-Indigenous communities located in the north. I'd like to particularly recognize His Worship, Mayor Michael Spence of Churchill as Chair of One North, and Chris Avery, CEO of the AGG, for their outstanding work, and what a pleasure it's been to work closely with them over this past year. I would also like to acknowledge the federal government's funding contribution, both past and present, the exciting announcement we've heard this morning, for repairing the rail line and investing the capital necessary in the next 2 years to maintain its operating standards. I appreciate the federal government shares in the Manitoba government vision of Churchill, contributing to revitalization and diversifying of our trade partners and its role in Canadian sovereignty and security. The AGG is a prime example of economic reconciliation in action, where Indigenous people rightfully have ownership and control over a critical asset that fundamentally shapes their economic and social lives. We look forward to developing and unlocking new economic opportunities as we work in partnership for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Naylor, for reaffirming the partnership and the commitments of the federal government, Churchill Arctic Gateway Group, and the province of Manitoba. I'd now like to invite the Honourable Dan Vandal, Member of Parliament for St. Boniface St. Patel, to say a few words.
Thank you, Minister. It's great to be here today for this very important announcement. C'est un grand plaisir d'être ici pour cette annonce tellement important pour notre province. If you've noticed in the last year, our government's activities have turned to the north in a significant and dramatic way. In May of 2024, Minister of Defense Bill Blair released Our North Strong and Free, a policy document with an overall emphasis on the strategic importance of the North and the Arctic, and a future commitment to significant increases in defense funding. I believe it's $18 billion over 5 years and over $70 billion in the next 20. I'm fairly confident that will be accelerated given the realities we are living in. And just last December, 2 months ago, Foreign Affairs Minister Mélanie Joly launched Canada's Arctic Foreign Policy, a comprehensive diplomatic strategy for Canada's engagement in the Arctic and the North, for Indigenous sovereignty, for jobs, for employment, for trade, for science, for infrastructure, and of course for defense. It's endorsed by all Indigenous governments in the North and the Arctic, territorial governments, provincial governments, municipalities, and hamlets. And in Manitoba, in Churchill, Manitoba, we have Canada's only deepwater port that is connected by rail to the rest of this great country. We have the Arctic Gateway Group, a proud community-owned, Indigenous-led Manitoba company that owns and operates the Port of Churchill, as well as the Hudson Bay Railway, who have been absolutely true Canadian champions of leadership, of sovereignty, and of northern development. I'm incredibly proud to be here today with my federal colleagues to make this significant announcement, but I'm equally proud to be here with the province of Manitoba because I know Canada needs their federal leadership for Churchill, for the North, and for the entire country. And in these unpredictable times, and I'm being polite, in these unpredictable times we are currently living in, investing in the North and the Arctic is more important than ever. But investing in Churchill, Manitoba is the same. It is more important than ever. And I know I speak for Manitoba Caucus when I say that we will be supporting Churchill for as long as it takes. Vive la Canada!
Thank you, Mr. Vandal, and thank you for your advocacy and your support to Churchill over the years. Next, I'd like to call upon the Mayor of Churchill and AGD Board Chair, Mike Spence, to share a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's an exciting day. Premier, Minister Duguid, Minister Naylor, I wanted to go, it's really critically important as I move on to mention other names. You know, it's, you know, we wouldn't be here today if it weren't for the late Dan Vandal, or sorry, the late Jim Carr. Okay, Jim was very instrumental in getting us to this point. Dan, in your capacity as former Minister of Northern Affairs, and our Arctic Gateway team has been, it's been incredible, you know, to get to this point. But it's been, you know, we've all came together as Manitobans, as Canadians. And my message today is, you know, the Arctic Gateway Group is now playing and is ready for a larger strategic, important role in strengthening and diversifying our province's economy. And the reason we're in this position is because of the strong backing of both the provincial and federal governments. And that is critical, you know, as we continue to develop Canada. The federal and provincial governments share a strong vision for jobs and growth in Canada's north. As a result of their continued support, the Arctic Gateway Group is ready for the work ahead. We're ready to leverage Manitoba's access to the Hudson Bay and the Arctic Ocean to maximize greater utilization of the Port of Churchill and the Hudson Bay Rail Line. Think about this. Think about this. Those are two major assets that we, as Manitobans, as northern, Indigenous, northern communities, have ownership to. There isn't another model like it in Canada. It's incredible, isn't it? That is incredible because we need to play and continue to play a role in advancing Canada's sovereignty and also the economics and security goals that lay ahead of us. We're ready for the moment. You've seen last summer in Churchill. If you weren't in Churchill, you read about it, you've seen it, the critical minerals that were shipped. Manitoba, northern critical minerals that were shipped through the Port of Churchill. That sends you a message that we're ready. We ship those critical minerals to Europe. We rebuilt the rail line to the best shape it's ever been. I've been riding the rail since I was a kid. And I'll tell you, it's pretty darn proud to ride the rails today when the on-time performance is incredible. And because we own it, we invest in it. That's the difference. As owners, we're pretty proud of what we built. These accomplishments are a testament to our vision and courage of the local ownership group in putting economic reconciliation into action. Isn't that sweet? It's important to remember that northern communities fought to control the port and rail line, not just for Manitoba, but for Canada. There was a lot of interest when the port came up for sale, especially from foreign buyers. In the north, we said no, not anymore. We're going to take control of these assets and we're going to secure a future. And that's when the knock on the door to the late Minister Jim Carr. The door opened, and he shared our vision, and that's incredible. So again, the government of Canada and Manitoba recognizes the strategic importance of keeping these assets. We are now poised to build upon a stronger province and a stronger country. As a Northerner, as a Churchillian, as a York Factory First Nation member, as a Canadian, you know, we're all proud, we'll succeed, we're positioning ourselves for a greater Manitoba and a greater Canada. And I'll tell you, we couldn't do it without the support of governments, the Manitobans as a whole who have taken advantage of supporting us during those critical times of the washouts of 2017. Everybody came together. And, you know, we continue to come together, and we continue to find success, and we'll continue to find further success. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Spence, for those words and reminding us for what these investments mean for the community of Churchill. Next, I would like to introduce Arctic Gateway Group CEO, Chris Avery.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us here today. My name is Chris Avery, as the Minister mentioned. I'm the CEO of Arctic Gateway Group. I'm honored, truly honored, to be standing here with this group of people, including Premier Kinew, thank you, Minister Duguid, Minister Naylor, my boss, Mayor Spence, Chairman Spence, and our friends from Hudbay as well. I've been CEO of Arctic Gateway for a little over 6 months now, and I have to say that before today, my favorite moment at Arctic Gateway was when we gathered at the Port of Churchill, as Minister Naylor talked about last August. The community and the local ownership group and the minister and the federal government, we held a ceremony to honor everyone who made it possible for Manitoba's deep sea port to ship Manitoba critical minerals mined right here in Manitoba at Snow Lake, transport it to Churchill by the Hudson Bay Railway, and load it onto a vessel at the Port of Churchill bound for Europe. But today is even better, because today means that we're going to ship even more critical minerals from the Port of Churchill. And we're doing it at a time when it's more important than ever. The Arctic Gateway Group has worked hard to build up the Hudson Bay Railway and to get the Port of Churchill up and going again. And because of this hard work, today we're ready to step up and serve the province and this country. The Port of Churchill and the Hudson Bay Railway makes Canadian supply chains stronger and our economy more resilient. We add both export capacity and optionality to help the vast resources of Western Canada get to foreign markets. And we expect to be an import gateway into Canada in the future as well. We're honored to have the continued backing of governments who've always recognized the importance of Churchill and Manitoba's strategic position as a maritime province. Make no mistake, Manitoba is a maritime province. The partnership we've built with Hudbay Minerals is also critical. Together with Hudbay, we're announcing that we're building on last summer's successful shipment of critical minerals. This year, we're on track to double the amount of critical minerals that we will export from the Port of Churchill. We're also investing in the Port of Churchill, and we'll triple the amount of capacity we have for critical mineral storage in Churchill, an investment that we know will serve our growth and diversification plans. We've had many active discussions looking at a wide range of commodities from other major sectors in the Canadian economy. And my message to Western Canada is that the Hudson Bay Railway, the Port of Churchill, and the shortest route to international market is open for business. We're going to work with the governments and Canadian businesses to continue to ramp up our operation and to make sure that Canada's Arctic trade corridor is active and contributing to a stronger and more secure Canada. Together, we're going to continue to step up and serve Manitobans and all Canadians, providing essential export capacity, supply chain optionality, and good jobs for the people of Manitoba and across Canada. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Avery. Next, I'd like to introduce Vice President, Manitoba Business Unit for Hudbay, Professional Engineer, Robert Carter.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It's a privilege to be here in Winnipeg today, alongside Premier Kinew, esteemed ministers, Indigenous leaders, and representatives of the Arctic Gateway Group, and fellow Manitobans. On behalf of Hudbay Minerals, I extend my sincere thanks for the invitation to participate in this important announcement. This announcement secures the future of vital export gateway for Manitoba's important critical minerals sector. Today we're celebrating a significant step forward for Northern Manitoba. This renewed commitment for infrastructure that will allow Hudbay to take advantage of the Manitoba Maritime Trade Corridor. This investment is more than just infrastructure. It's about investing in communities, it's creating opportunities, and it's building a stronger, more prosperous future for all Manitobans. And Hudbay, as a major employer in the north, mining critical minerals for nearly a century, is proud to be part of that future. For generations, Hudbay has been a cornerstone of northern Manitoba's economy, providing good-paying jobs, comprehensive benefits, and opportunities for employees and local businesses. We're committed to investing in our people, providing training and development to ensure that we have the skills, that they have the skills they need to succeed. And we're also committed to investing in our future, continually seeking new opportunities and technologies to ensure our long-term presence in the province. We recognize the vital role that transportation infrastructure plays in our operations and in the economic health of the North. Last year, we partnered with Arctic Gateway and shipped 10,000 tons of zinc concentrate produced from Lawler Mine and our operations in Snow Lake, Manitoba, to our customers overseas. Building on last year's success of shipping 10,000 tons of zinc concentrate, we are thrilled to announce plans to double that volume to 20,000 tons through the Port of Churchill in 2025. The rail line and the Port of Churchill are critical links. They're connecting our resources to global markets and enabling us to contribute to the province's growth. We see tremendous potential in the Arctic Gateway project, especially for increased shipments of critical minerals through the Port of Churchill. These minerals, essential for the technologies that will power our future, are abundant in Manitoba, and Hudbay is positioned to be a key supplier. The project will create jobs, stimulate economic activity, and solidify Manitoba's role in the global green economy. The project is also about partnership. We are deeply committed to building and maintaining strong relationships with Arctic Gateway and Indigenous communities. We have active engagement with Indigenous communities in the region where we operate through open dialogue and collaboration that reflect our shared values and respect for the environment. Economic reconciliation is a priority for Hudbay, and we are dedicated to playing our part. We commend the province of Manitoba and the federal government for their continued support of the Arctic Gateway. We thank the Arctic Gateway Group for their leadership, and we thank the Indigenous leaders and communities for their partnership. Hudbay is proud to be part of that journey. We believe in the potential of northern Manitoba as a key player in the critical mineral supply chain. And we are committed to working alongside our partners to create a thriving and sustainable future for this region and for all Manitobans, leveraging the Port of Churchill as a vital export gateway. With this continued partnership and investment, the future of the Port of Churchill and Manitoba's critical mineral sector is bright, and Hudbay is ready to play a leading role in that future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Now, please allow me to introduce Chief E.J. Fontaine of the Sagkeeng and Anishinaabe Nation.
Anin Bujo, Denaway Magnituk, Niji Waganak. I'm honored to be here today to participate in this announcement. In our territory, our traditional territory of the Sagkeeng First Nation, the territory is blessed with natural resources, lithium and all other types of minerals that are wanted throughout the world. And for Sagkeeng First Nation, this represents to us a beacon of hope, a hope for a better future for our people, alleviation of poverty in our communities, as well as a source of potential revenues for us to invest back into our communities and our territories. The funding that's being provided to us by Prairies Can and the province of Manitoba is critical for us to be able to invest in our human capital in our community so that we can compete for the jobs that are going to become available in the mining sector. It's okay to have development in our territory, but it's equally and more important for us to be a part of that, to be partners, but also to be heavily invested in the future of the province and the country. If we're left behind with all this development, the future is not going to be bright for any of us, because the path that we're on is in the future. Many of the people that are going to be in this country and this province are going to be First Nations, Indigenous people, and if we're all living in poverty, that's not going to bode well for the economy of the province here. So it's important to invest in the human capital of our people, so that we can also thrive and be prosperous like anybody else in this country. We're tired of being poor. We're tired of having nothing in our own lands, and by starting to look at us as an asset that can be invested into, it's the start of a much better future for not only our people, but the mainstream economy. So I look forward to being a key player in the development of the natural resource sector in Manitoba. And I want to say thank you to the province of Manitoba, my cousin, Wab Kinew, my cousin down the highway, Minister Ian Bushie, for believing in Sagkeeng, believing in us that we're worthy of an investment, that our people are worth investing in, because we're going to be the major workforce in that area. Our people are growing, our community is growing, and why not tap into a readily available workforce that's right next to the mining sector. I also have a message that I wanted to convey on behalf of the chief from Norway House, Larson Anderson. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to be here today. He was stuck up in his community. So what he says is Norway House is the first First Nation to purchase a major project in Canada. We want to protect the water, land, and air. We want the benefits, including jobs and opportunities, to go back to the people who live in the First Nations, the region and province. Prairies Canada Minister and staff, Indigenous Services Canada, and Manitoba Mineral Development Fund, we thank them for their support to train people to get the jobs. So far, 11 people have been trained, and currently, with 6 currently working, with another intake happening this weekend around Norway House. This is our freedom project and enables people to have a better future and stand on our own without relying on our government. That's from Chief Larson Anderson. And I just wanted to say that with the funding we receive, we're looking at training and getting 120 people ready for jobs in the mining sector and other economic activity in our territory. So kchimi miigwech bijaik and wewane aho miigwech.
Oh, my gosh, Chief Fontaine. I'd like to thank everybody for being here today for this historic announcement, and make no mistake about it, it is a historic announcement. Given the international climate that's out there today, the true partnership between all levels of government, community, and industry, and it is something that is a priority for us as the Manitoba government, for you, the people of Manitoba. So I'd now like to welcome questions from the media here in the room, and we can go to Zoom afterwards.
Yep, it's all new money. Yeah.
Would you say like in response to tariffs that were
This is a plan for many, many years. Like our team has a long-standing commitment to the community of Churchill, and Churchill has a long-standing commitment to us too. It's a great relationship, you know what I mean? Tons of great working people in that community and right along the Bayline communities as well. This is something that makes sense over the long term because it helps us get to tidewater. When you think of Manitoba, you think of the prairies, you think of the bush, but did you know that you can get to saltwater as well too? And when we can do that, that opens up so many economic opportunities to ship what we mine here in the province, what we grow in terms of the ag industry, in the future energy products, I'm sure, will go through the Port of Churchill as well. And when we talk about those economic opportunities, that's something that's going to grow jobs and your household income right here in Manitoba. And if we're doing it at a time where we're trying to strengthen the relationship with the U.S. and we're saying, hey, we've got a presence in the Arctic, and Arctic security is something we're both interested in, that helps there. And for everybody who was getting a case of whiplash yesterday, maybe being able to ship goods to the EU, the European Union, is helpful for our long-term economic security as well. So you just go down the list, every single dimension of this project makes sense. And then if you're sitting there asking, well, what about reconciliation? Guess what? It's owned by Indigenous communities. So it's just a win-win-win opportunity every which way you look at it.
And just to follow that, what do you think about continuing efforts on part of Easton as to explore the idea of the deepwater port on the
Well, we're very excited about the Port of Churchill. This is something that we've been working a long time towards. And I think everybody should be really, really happy that we got this round of funding to be able to get out the door. So hats off to our federal counterparts and everybody who's been working behind the scenes on this. You know, it takes a lot of doing to get multiple levels of government, including Indigenous, as well as the AGG partners here all on the same page. So I look forward to hopefully being able to take some of our American friends to Churchill soon and show off this great port, this amazing asset that allows us to say, we have a strong Arctic presence. We have a pathway to get to the EU. We have a pathway for those minerals that are going to power not just the low carbon economy, but also a lot of the defense needs around the world. And, you know, that's the focus of the announcement here today.
So is that with that port though, I mean, something that's on the table, or?
I guess what I'm saying is we just moved heaven and earth to get this announcement here together. Let's celebrate the Port of Churchill, because this is a long time coming. You got Mike Spence here. I mean, I'm talking like months and years. Like some of us have been at this for, you know, a few months, few years. Some of us have been at this for decades. This is a significant announcement, and the timing couldn't be more perfect, because it strengthens the relationship with the United States, it creates jobs here in Manitoba, but it also opens up new possibilities to get to Europe.
Some outside the scope of this announcement, still relevant to national events. What's your message to Manitobans who are choosing now not to travel to the States or sense boycotting if that was on the ground?
I think it always makes sense to buy local, to shop Manitoban, to shop Canadian. I cannot tell you how inspiring it's been to see that Canadian pride over the past few days. The United States is still our closest ally and our most important trading partner. We're always going to have time for that relationship. But if the past few days has taught us anything, I would hope that we need to really strengthen our own economy here in Manitoba and across Canada. And one of the ways that we can do that is making sure that the mining, the agriculture, the transportation that we have has more options in the future. And this Port of Churchill, this is really one of those ways that opens up those possibilities. So yeah, I really appreciate everybody banding together, and let's keep working together to grow our jobs and to grow our country and to grow our province.
There was funding announced last year and then this year for revitalization. So what specifically is the money going towards, like today, that's going to?
So on the provincial side, the money is going towards the port, like we're talking about the wharf, and then we're talking about like a shed structure on there that has to do with the warehousing of the critical minerals. It's very, very exciting. And then when you're talking about the federal announcement, this is a huge stretch of rail, right? And you know, obviously they'll jump in and provide the details, but to be able to maintain that, to ensure that it's high quality, to have the passenger and you know, the freight service moving along that, it takes a lot of doing. And so this money is a continuation of a long-term investment. I think Manitobans and Canadians should think about this as maybe like a half decade's worth of investment in total that we're moving towards. Today we're announcing a 2-year chunk of that. You can point to specific things at the wharf and as part of the port project that this money will pay for, but really it's part of that bigger picture vision, which is let's get the things that power our economy here in Manitoba to Tidewater. Some of that will be shipped to Nunavut, some of that will be shipped to the EU, but all of it will benefit Manitoba. You guys want to break down some of the federal infrastructure? Yeah.
Yeah, so the federal money is primarily for rail line revitalization. As the mayor said, it is largely complete. There'll be some money for operations, but as we know, the rail line goes over some pretty treacherous territory, permafrost that is melting because of climate change, and so those are the major buckets. But maybe just to say that while climate change is certainly a threat to our north, it's also an opportunity in that the ice-free season will be open for a much longer period. Churchill Port is a direct line to Europe for special crops, and now minerals. So there's going to be an increased opportunity in the future because of a warming world. And so while we do need to get a handle on climate change, reduce our emissions, we can take advantage of that longer season for trade.
Is there a timeline that you can see where the Port of Churchill will be done?
Well, the infrastructure in Churchill, some of it goes back to the 1930s. And Mike, I think it's fair to say the more infrastructure investment, the better. And so it's a work in progress. And Mike, as I understand it, while the rail line is getting in very good shape, the port itself needs repairs, needs infrastructure investment. And also, I think the port is going to be looking at container infrastructure and that sort of thing that will allow it to export special crops, other specialty items.
Yeah. I don't know that there's anyone out there who would say that Donald Trump and I are two peas in a pod, but if we share an interest in cracking down on drug trafficking in our respective jurisdictions, then I think we'd both pursue that at the same time. My responsibility as a Premier of Manitoba is to keep Manitobans safe. And I'm thinking about economic security. Again, tariffs would have been bad for both countries. It would have raised the cost of living. And now that we've got this opportunity to roll out investments in the Port of Churchill, I think it just shows that we're taking those steps that I talked about yesterday to Trump-proof our economy. This is about diversifying our markets. We're always going to be a good friend to the United States of America, and that's going to be a really, really big part of our economy. But going forward into the future, we need to be able to place some bets on some other options at the table there. And AGG is us placing a bet on ourselves. It's placing a bet on Manitobans, placing a bet on the North, placing a bet on Indigenous people, and saying, hey, we've got a really great offer here in Manitoba to help ensure that Canada can supply the world and create good jobs here at home. Well, there's a very direct way that this makes life more affordable, because the communities that get served by the rail line, if this rail line is not there, then they have to be served by air. And that's way, way, way more expensive. So it benefits the people across the Bay line. And I think that's part of the reason that people like Mayor Spence and the other leadership were fighting so hard over the years to make this happen. But there's more than just the immediate let's make life more affordable angle, which is good for people in the North. This is also about a vision for the future of Canada. When we say True North, strong and free, that means we're present and vibrant in the Arctic, in the North. And not only are we present and vibrant, but we've got an economy that's running on all cylinders that makes sure that everybody in our communities can reach their full potential. Mining is going to be a big part of that, the ag industry, energy, there's so many different opportunities. But in order for us to make a living off those things, we have to be able to get those goods to market. And that means rail, and that means shipping port as well, too.
Just in French, are you able to talk about the importance of this announcement?
Bien, cette annonce est très importante parce que le Manitoba, le Canada, a ce que le monde veut acheter, soit dans nos mines, avec nos produits agricoles, mais avec ces investissements à Churchill, avec le chemin de fer, nous sommes capables de partager ces produits avec le monde. Alors, c'est vraiment dans ce moment historique, c'est une opportunité incroyable à appuyer nos Manitobains, les Premières Nations dans notre province, mais en même temps de livrer des services et des produits pour le reste du monde. Et en même temps, avec les États-Unis, ça nous donne la capacité que nous avons une présence au nord très fort pour la sécurisation de l'Arctique. Alors, il y a beaucoup, beaucoup d'opportunités, la réconciliation économique en même temps. Alors, c'est un investissement très, très incroyable, selon moi. All right, we're getting the high sign. Thanks, everybody. Right on.